Cobham was quiet that night, the kind of silence that falls over a training ground long after the players have left. The floodlights dimmed, and the media crews packed up their gear. But deep inside one of the tactical analysis rooms, the screens were still glowing. Enzo Maresca was there alone, headphones on, eyes fixed on a split screen, showing two versions of Victor Osimhen. One, storming through Serie A defenses in Napoli blue. The other, hesitating, isolated, ghosted in European nights. He rewound the clip again. Then, again. What he saw wasn't just a striker. He saw a problem no one had solved and a key no one had found. Osimhen wasn't broken, but he was misunderstood. That's where it started. The idea that would later leak in fragments to the press and drive fans into a frenzy. A new kind of striker role. One that defied everything Chelsea had done with their No.9s since Drogba. It wasn't just about goals. It was about unlocking the entire shape of the team by unshackling the man leading it. Maresca scribbled furiously on the whiteboard, layering arrows, half spaces, and inverted runs. But this wasn't just tactics. It was poetry with a purpose. He called it pivot. Del Caos, the chaos pivot. Unlike Napoli's structure, where Osimhen was asked to stretch defenses and wait for service, Maresca's plan was to give him creative chaos, to make him a Roman force of gravity, not a traditional target man, not a false nine, something in between. He would start centrally, but then drift diagonally, luring center-backs with him, destabilizing the back line. As he moved out, Palmer would crash inside. Sterling would dart behind. Gallagher would time the late run. The idea was simple. Osimhen wouldn't be the finisher every time. He'd be the detonator. The coaching staff didn't get it at first. He's a striker. Let him score, one muttered. But Maresca, with that calm voice, replied, no, we've had strikers. What we need now is a system breaker. That's when he unveiled the second layer, microzones using drone footage from training charted invisible zones of overload on the pitch, where Osimhen would pull double coverage, and where Palmer or Nkunku would strike. They'd practice this quietly with academy players, disguising it as normal positional play. No press, no cameras, dot! And then came the emotional layer one night. During a staff-only tactical prep session, Maresca played a clip of Drogba's legendary header against Bayern Munich. Everyone watched in silence. He didn't just score, Maresca said, voice low. He moved time. He made defenders panic just by being there. That's what Osimhen can do, but in a way they've never seen before. He opened a folder labeled 09 Master Plan. Inside were days of footage cut into segments, each clip labeled with things like blindside manipulation, second wave drift, false pressure drag. At the center of every clip, Osimhen not scoring, not celebrating, but moving pieces, creating space, setting traps. He was the chessboard now, not just the queen. The plan involved rebuilding the midfield too, more compact, faster vertical transitions, quick recoveries. Everyone plays for Osimhen, but not in service of him, in response to him. Even Chelsea's analytics department was stunned when they ran simulations. The chaos pivot concept increased expected goal sequences by 34% and reduced defensive vulnerability by 19% because Osimhen's movement disrupted pressing lanes. In simple terms, defenders would chase shadows. And yet, it was still just a theory until a voice, note leaked Maresca's voice, grainy but clear, greater than we've had weapons. But no conductor, no rhythm, no chaos with purpose. Osimhen is the answer, but only if we free him from the cage the world put him in. He's not here to carry the No-9. He's here to redefine it. The leak hit Twitter at midnight. Within hours, hashtag Osimhen was trending. Fans were confused, excited, terrified. Could Chelsea really build an entire tactical revolution around one player? Back at Cobham, Maresca stared at a laminated copy of his blueprint. He didn't blink, he didn't tweet, he didn't talk to the press, because for him, the game had already begun and Victor Osimhen was about to become the storm in Chelsea's new system. The first time Victor Osimhen walked into Cobham after the plan was revealed, there was no press, No welcome banner. Just silence and a low humming nervousness in the air. The staff had been briefed. No handshakes, no photos, no distractions. Maresca wanted the moment to feel surgical, precise, clean, meaningful. Osimhen was dressed in all black, a subtle nod to how the media had painted him lately. Mysterious, detached, indecisive. But beneath that calm exterior, his mind was burning. He knew what people said. Another striker walking into the Stamford Bridge curve. 120 million pounds pressure cooker. The next Lukaku. But Osimhen had seen the plan. He'd watched Maresca's clips. He'd read the tactical breakdowns. And somewhere, deep in his gut, he believed this was different. I'm not Drogba, he'd told Maresca in their first private meeting. No, Maresca replied. Drogba was history. You are design. From that moment, something clicked. Preseason began in secret. Not the flashy U.S. tours, not the media-driven drills. This was tactical architecture, the unglamorous kind. Laser cones, positional chess. Osimhen was given a yellow wristband, not for style, but for spacing drills. Everywhere he moved, the system reacted. Gallagher studied his movement like a dancer follows the rhythm of a lead. Palmer would pause every time Osimhen faked a run, knowing the second touch would now arrive 0.8 seconds earlier than it used. 2. Even Sterling, the most experienced attacker, said, "It's like gravity. You don't see it, but you feel everything pulling toward him." The backroom staff called it the silent storm. In an internal scrimmage against the U23s, the system was tested. The first half was rough. Osimhen looked isolated, misunderstood, the space misfiring like a bad jazz solo. But Maresca didn't flinch. He kept pointing to the left channel, the half space just behind the opposition fullback. Again, he said, "Run the chaos again." And then it happened. In the 57th minute, Osimhen drifted wide left for what looked like no reason. The U23s hesitated, uncertain. Palmer ghosted in. Sterling feinted inside. And Gallagher out of nowhere smashed the ball into the top corner. The entire sequence was off script, and yet it was precisely the plan. Osimhen didn't score. He didn't even touch the ball, but he was the cause. And for the first time in months, Maresca smiled. The media pressure began building just weeks before the season opener. Headlines screamed, "Chelsea's 120 million pounds ghost striker. Where are the goals?" Maresca betting the entire midfield on one man. Osimhen can't fix a broken system, or can he? Talk shows roasted the concept. Pundits called it overcomplicated. Nonsense! One former Chelsea legend even said, "Greater than this isn't Napoli. This is the Premier League." You don't get points for pretty patterns, but Maresca wasn't building for points. He was building for domination. Matchday 1, Chelsea versus Arsenal. Stamford Bridge was electric, the air heavy with anxiety, and yet Osimhen looked serene, not eager, not hungry, just focused. Like a man who knew a secret no one else did. The first 30 minutes were brutal. Arsenal pressed high. Chelsea looked rattled. And then minute 33, Osimhen jogged out wide, dragging Saliba with him. It was nothing special, just a drift. But the ripple effect, Palmer cut inside. Gallagher followed. Sterling darted to the back post. And then, with one switch from Cucurella, the whole left side collapsed. Palmer, untouched, squared it back to Osimhen, now charging from deep. Boom, goal, not just a goal, a statement. The stadium erupted. Maresca didn't. He just nodded, folded his arms, and whispered to his assistant. 1 down. But the real moment came in the 79th minute. Tied 1-1. Arsenal were growing. Chelsea were fading. And that's when Maresca unleashed the final piece of the blueprint. The hollow run. Osimhen jogged toward the box, then abruptly stopped, planting his foot like a decoy. The entire backline froze. Palmer didn't. He sprinted into the empty space, received the ball, and chipped it calmly past Ramsdale. 2-1. Game over. Chelsea didn't just win. They evolved. The following week, training footage was leaked again, but this time by design. Clips of Osimhen orchestrating attacking drills, shouting instructions, clapping when younger players got it right. Suddenly, the narrative changed. Osimhen isn't just a striker, he's a system. And in the weeks that followed, the stats exploded. Chelsea led the league in goal sequence involvement from zone 14. Palmer and Gallagher had more progressive runs than the entire previous season combined. Opponents began doubling Osimhen in build-up phases only to leave flanks wide open. The headlines flipped. Chelsea's chaos plan is genius, and Osimhen is the architect. Maresca's bet pays off. The number 9 is dead. Long live the pivot. In a post-match interview, when asked about the system that made him shine, Osimhen smirked and said, "Greater than no system made me. I became the system." And just like that, the curse was broken. No more Fernando Torres ghosts. No more Luke shadows. No more number 9 debates. Victor Osimhen didn't just survive Chelsea, he changed it forever.